There are no questions. Big applause for him for the good presentation. Very important. Thank you. The next invited talk on is the enteric delivery of dichlorine sodium through functionally modified there is a poly in the beads development, formulation, and evaluation being delivered by T.M. Mrityunjay Swami. Dr. Swami obtained bachelor's degree from Mysore University in 1996, obtained master's from Mysore University, and obtained PhD from VTU, Belgaum, India. Mr. Swami has co-authored many international papers on various aspects of polymer chemistry. He has won International Science Teacher Award in 2011. He was awarded Best Teacher by SOFN, Infosys Employees Community Initiative, in recognition of his outstanding performance and dedication to high-quality teaching in 2012. He has delivered several lectures in various parts of the world. Mr. Swami is one of the pioneers in using modern techniques in teaching chemistry. He is a galaxies of students are now working throughout the world. Presently, he is working as a professor in Marimala College, Mysore. With this brief introduction, I welcome Professor Swami to deliver invited talk.
Thank you very much, sir. Very good afternoon to all of you. Namaste, I am Dr. T. Mrityunjay Swami from Mysore. Today I am here to give a recent research work which was conducted at our JS Research Center, and now I am going to talk about the enteric delivery of diclofenac sodium through functionally modified polyacrylamide grafted gadolinium based pH sensitive beads. The introduction is diclofenac sodium, a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, was widely used to relieve pain, inflammation, joint stiffness, disorders called arthritis, and musculoskeletal disorders. The shorter biological half-life and associated side effects make diclofenac sodium a suitable sustained candidate for the release formulations. Oral controlled release, multiple unit dosage forms such as beads, pellets, and microparticles are considered as attractive alternative to single unit dosage forms, as they tend to spread uniformly, avoid the difference in the gastric emptying and transit rates, and they release the drugs more uniformly throughout the gastrointestinal tract. Local unwanted effects are eliminated when drug is embedded in gastrointestinal polymer. This is particularly true in the case of NSAIDs, which have often been associated with GIT problems. This research work avoids the use of hazardous solvents, and this process is economical, flexible, and produces beads of superior quality. Several synthetic polymers have been used to formulate multiple unit dosage forms. Hydrogel is a cross-linked 3D network of hydrophilic polymers which can be swelled without dissolving in water. The hydrogens that trigger the release of drug in response to various stimuli are known as intelligent polymers and are gaining the importance in drug delivery in the present scenario as act as target-specific drug delivery systems. Gucci gum or Indian gum is a non-starch polysaccharide originating from India and obtained from the main species Agnus latifolia, a large deciduous tree found in dry areas. Gutty gum selected due to abundant available, cost-effective, non-toxic, non-immunogenic, biocompatible, and biodegradable nature. Regulated status of GG in USA is considered as generally recognized as safe in the year 1976. Oral control release of multiple unit dosage forms are becoming more popular than single unit dosage forms. Graft polymerization informs of properties of natural and synthetic polymers and gives them a new property. The need to investigate the feasibility of using functionally modified pH-sensitive gadolinium beads for targeting the diclofenac into intestine. In the present study, polyacrylamide was grafted on the backbone of GG, and subsequently the amide groups of polyacrylamide was converted to COH groups. The shorter biological half-life and associated side effects make diclofenac sodium a suitable drug candidate for controlled release formulations. And grafting the host polymer gains some of the desired properties of the monomer used for grafting. Grafting of polyacrylamide upon the gadolinium is of great importance to develop new materials, combining the properties of both natural and synthetic polymers. To prepare the pH-sensitive hydrogel beads of polygrafted gadolinium by copolymerization, to characterize the grafted gadolinium, the most important objective is to characterize the pH-sensitive hydrogel beads, to evaluate the prepared grafted gum-based hydrogel beads, to carry out in vitro drug release studies, to conduct biodegradability and acute oral toxicity studies. In this preparation, polyacrylamide was dissolved in 30 ml of water and Gatigam was also dissolved in 30 ml of water. These two dispersions were dissolved in 30 ml of cetic ammonium nitrate. The whole mixture is dried, and it is dried by using ethanol and methanol. Here in this hydrolysis, this polyacrylate, soon after the hydrolysis of sodium hydroxide, that amide group is hydrolyzed to get acid group. That means percentage of nitrogen is drastically decreased. Then in this characterization of Fourier transform infrared analysis, here this first peak is mainly because of alcoholic group, the second one is methylene group. If you compare both, those additional peaks are mainly because of amide groups. Those amide groups mainly indicate there is a successful grafting of polyacrylate Gatigam on the Gatigam. Here in this elemental analysis, the Gatigam, here this Gatigam does not contain even any percentage of nitrogen, 0% of nitrogen. But once it is a polyacrylate grafted, the percentage of nitrogen increases. As the grafting increases, there is a maximum amount of nitrogen in the G4 batch soon after the grafting. This particular data indicates there is a successful grafting. Then in this TGA, thermogravity analysis, differential thermographic analysis, here the initial decomposition temperature is at 206, the final decomposition temperature is at 526. But when it is grafted, the initial decomposition temperatures get reduced to 134, the final decomposition temperature is increased to 598. This is mainly because of the polyacrylate grafting over the Gatigam. Here in the differential thermal analysis, there is a lesser amount of heat is liberated. Here, that is at 483.2 degrees Celsius, there 186.6 amount of heat is liberated. That is low exothermic heat, high exothermic heat. In the differential thermogravimetric analysis, here the maximum decomposition occurs at 470, there decomposition occurs at 595. All these curves indicate there is a grafting of polyacrylate over the Gatigam. Then here when we studied all this grafting through intrinsic viscosity, this particular curve indicates that as the viscosity increases, the graphitic nature also increases. The molecular weight analysis. In this molecular analysis, the molecular weight of sample was found out using gel permeation chromatography technique. Here, the sudden reduction in the molecular weight due to polymeric chain distraction during the microwave irradiation. The neutralization equivalent titration method was widely used to estimate the neutration equivalent to 100 milligrams of sample was equilibrated with 0.1 of hydrochloric acid for 6 hours, and the surplus hydrogen and concentration was back titrated for standard sodium hydroxide solution. Subsequently, the equivalent weight of carboxylic acid function was calculated. The above values exhibit the basicity of polybasic acid, and the nutrition equivalent is equal to the molecular weight of the acid. The effect of swelling studies, initially the required amount of sample was dried in hot oven for 20 hours at 140 degrees Celsius, and then it was immersed in 100 ml of deionized water. This particular graph indicates there is a successful grafting of Gatigam over polyacrylamide amide. Then the temperature responsive swelling behavior of Gatigam grafted polyacrylamide was studied at different temperature. In neutral medium at pre-optimized time, initially the percentage swelling was found to increase with the increase in temperature attained at 60 degrees, whereas increase in temperature beyond the optimal value exhibited in decrease in percentage swelling. At higher temperature, that is at the temperature, the polymer matrix get distorted and the hydrogen bond net was broke down. Effect of ionic strength, it was observed from those figures that the percentage swelling decreases with increasing ionic strength. That is, as the valence increases, the strength decreases, and even in cationic charge. This type of behavior could be as a result of reverse osmotic process. It was observed that the percentage swelling of Gatigam grafted polyacrylamide decreased with increase in change of metal ions, and free carboxylate group of hydrogen formed complexes with the multivalent cations, which reduces the ionic repulsion. This diclofenac sodium equivalent to 20 or 40% of dry mass of polymer was precisely measured and dispersed in 3% of weight per volume aqueous solution. The dispersion was continuously stirred and the beads formed was separated from gelatin medium. Washed twice with distilled water to get rid of unreacted ions and dried at room temperature. Aluminium chloride is mainly used as a catalyst as well as cross-linking agent, and its concentration increased, smaller beads were produced. Then regarding the bead seed, digimetric macrometer with an accuracy of 0.001 millimeter was used to determine the bead seeds. The average diameter of the underparticles of batch was calculated. The size range of beads was observed to 980 to 1215 micrometer. Higher the concentration of aluminium chloride, the hydrogel matrix is rigid, hence the leakage of direct from the matrix is low, resulting in the higher amount. pulsative swelling behavior. The pulsative swelling behavior of drug-free copolymer beads and GG beads was studied by measuring their mass in 25 ml solutions of pH 1.2 and 7.4. It was observed that beads developed with gadolinium does not exhibit noticeable pulsative swelling behavior. But when beads made from hydrolyzed copolymer swell and deswell sharply with change in pH environment, carboxyl function groups undergo ionization at a pH and the osmotic pressure inside the beads increase, resulting in the higher swelling. The swelling depends upon the density of cross-linking. At lower cross-linking, the hydrogen net is loose and absorb more of the solvent responsible for the higher swelling. All these successfully indicate there is a grafting of gadolinium over the polyacrylamide. Then dissolution study was carried out with weight quantity of beads and 100 ml of dissolution of pH. Then these aliquots of samples were removed at predefined time interval and sink conditions were maintained. The release of diclofenac sodium from gadolinium and grafted beads in acidic medium was low due to gastro-resistant nature, and higher amount was released in alkaline pH. As the pH increases, the release of the drug is more, that is in the intestinal pH. The gadolinium beads release the drug completely at 4 hours and grafted polymeric beads released at 8 hours. The purpose of this recent research work is to make sure that drug will release slowly throughout the passage of the time. Then this is the biodegradable study. 5% gum solution was poured into petri dish and dried samples were cut and placed in the agar medium devoid of any carbon source. Aspergillus ginger was inoculated and sample films of gadolinium, grafted polyacrylamide and incubated at ambient temperature. Thereafter, the films were observed for the evidential colony of growth. The fungal growth for different batches of film noticeable 3rd, 7th, 14th and 21st day in all the petrishable. The apparent growth of fungi in mineral agar-agar medium proves that carbon content in the grafted polymer had been utilized by the fungi for its growth. Thus, it can be simply concluded that the polyacrylamide, what we designated to prepare, is a biodegradable in nature. Then acute oral tox study, 5 weeks old female albino rats were taken for the study. A single dose of 2000 milligrams per kg of the body were administered by the gavages using a stomach tube to the first animal. The first animal survived, so the same was administered to the remaining 4 animals. The animals were observed at specified time in the interval of 14 days. All the mortality rate was assessed by various reports. From this result, what we concluded, no mortality was found within the observation period of dosing. In this present study, the gadolinium grafted polyacrylamide was synthesized by microwave irradiation using cetic ammonium nitrate as redox indicator. Percent grafting achieved was above 71%. This percentage grafting is highly useful for delivering the drug over a sustained period of time because of slow release. Optimized gadolinium polyacrylamide copolymer was then hydrolyzed using sodium hydroxide to convert amide groups of polyacrylamide to acid groups so as to attain the pH sensitive copolymer. Release of diclofenac sodium from the copolymer beads were considerably less in the acidic medium and tended to increase the pH of the release medium in the intestinal pH. Major portion of the drug was found to be released in the pH range existing in the intestine. Thanks. Thank you very much indeed. Any questions?
Any questions? Please.
So what property of your material make it sustained release after the grafting? It is a cross-linking or?
Yeah, there is mainly cross-linking that release the drug over a period of time. I want to end up with the talk with small quotation. Have patience. Patience with you is confidence. Patience with your family is love. Patience with others is respect. Patience with God is faith. Thank you very much indeed.
This is the picture of Mysore Palace.
Mysore Palace.
Happens to me.
Please do visit to Mysore.
If there are no questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice presentation.